Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Hong Kong and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel quite a few times before. Now, these guys are a very well established and very well respected brewery here in the territory. They are actually the oldest one as well, but they do a wide variety of different styles, and I would say that it's probably best to describe this brewery as being very solid all round. They've got some really nice beers at the lighter end of the spectrum and also some really interesting things at the darker end of the spectrum as well. So definitely one of the Hong Kong breweries that I really recommend you check out. But the beer that we're going to have a look at from them today is one that I have never come across before. I believe they've brewed this one a few times in the past though, and it's a style that I think this brewery could do very, very well considering what I've had from their other beers, and it's also a style that I very much enjoy. So needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to stick to Hong Kong like I said. We're also going to stick to the Kowloon side of the territory, and we're going to go round from me to Kwun Tong, which means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Hong Kong Beer Company. So this particular beer is called Reclining Rock. It comes in at 5.2% ABV, and this one is a Munich style Helles lager. So yeah, this is a beer that I didn't even know Hong Kong Beer Company did, and I came across it when I went for a wee visit to their hole in the wall at the back of the brewery and asked what it was, and so yeah, here we are. I'm guessing that this is one that they maybe produce for Oktoberfest, actually, because it's got the Bavarian Czechs on the side of it, kind of. So yeah, I'll need to ask Philip what exactly this one's produced for and how often it's done, but yeah, I love a Munich Helles, and considering that, for me at least, Hong Kong Beer Company's beers are always very clean and very crisp and drinkable, I think this is a style that they might do very, very well, so we'll need to see. But yeah, Reclining Rock, 5.2% Helles lager from the wonderful Hong Kong Beer Company in Kwun Tong, Kowloon here in Hong Kong. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Hong Kong Beer Company before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Hong Kong playlist along with other beers from the territory. Do make sure that you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days too, even if I do say so myself. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Hong Kong Beer Company once again then. So, the history of Hong Kong Beer Company goes back to 1995, when the first iteration of the company was established as South China Brewing Company. Now, the man behind this company was David Haynes, who is originally from Colorado, a very good beer state over in the US, and he is a clinical psychologist by trade, but he was also a big beer enthusiast, which is very understandable considering where he comes from. But his wife worked as a China analyst in one of the big financial firms, and she encouraged him to go for it and found his own company. So he went to the US to visit different microbreweries and do some fact finding, and around this time David encountered Peter Bordeaux, who was the president of Sazerac, quite a major American beverage distributor. But after asking a lot of questions, he agreed to help finance the startup, and then Hong Kong Beer Company, or South China Brewing Company as it was at that time, were on their way. So it took them about a year to navigate the Hong Kong bureaucracy, but they managed to get the legal right to brew beer, and they opened the first brewery in the Vita Tower in Aberdeen on the south side of Hong Kong Island. They released their first beer called Crooked Island Ale, and this beer spread simply by word of mouth to the different pubs across Hong Kong, but it apparently actually did quite well. So the brewery had a few years of success, but then things started to sputter, and eventually the facility became a contract brewery, brewing other breweries' beers as well. But the company was acquired by Harmony Assets in 2003, and the name changed at this point to Hong Kong Beer Company, and Harmony distributed their beers through their bar chain El Grande, but production was only at around 120,000 litres of beer per year by 2009, and the quality of the beer during this period apparently continued to kind of be questionable as well, and they eventually ended up having their beers contract brewed elsewhere. But later on in 2013, the company was purchased by Devon Otto Kimball and Daniel Flores, who are the team behind Brewworks Brewery and Restaurant in Singapore. But they stayed involved with the company until 2020, but under their guidance, the brewery was completely revamped from the ground up, and they brought in brewmaster Simon Pesh, who previously worked for Pyramid Brewery in Berkeley in California over in the US, and he stayed with the company until 2018, but laid some very good foundations. They relocated the brewery to Chai Wan on the eastern part of Hong Kong Island, and there they were operating a 20 US barrel brew kit, which is around 3,200 litres per brew, and that kit came from GNVW Systems, and today they're producing in the region of 600,000 litres of beer per year. So there was another change of ownership in 2020, and the current brew team is headed by Philip Rankmore and Matt Bradley under the guidance of James Waters, and Philip is from Sydney, and he originally studied chemical engineering but later gained his brewing diploma from the Institute of Brewing and Distilling before going to work in Korea for Goose Island and Budnamo, and he also spent time in Korea teaching brewers and also did the same here in Hong Kong for a period as well. But in 2024, they relocated production again to Kwun Tong in East Kowloon, and they've been working to build up this facility over the last few months. But these days, they've also got a hole in the wall at the back of the brewery where you can buy the cans. It opens from Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m, sometimes a little bit later, every day, so you can go there, sit by the park and have a couple of the cans and just talk to the people there. It's actually a really nice idea to kind of introduce HK Beer Company to the community, if you like. But yeah, as of September 2025, when we're filming this review for you, these guys have produced about 105 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and like I said to you, these guys do a wide variety of different styles. I mean, for me, I do like the Peak Pilsner. That's really good. The Big Wave Bay West Coast IPA is really top as well. I enjoy that. And you know, Hazy Days and Hey Hey, the hazy IPAs, both of those are really good as well. And the Maipos, the Imperial Stouts, tend to be pretty damn good too. So yeah, those beers are all definitely worth checking out. They're releasing a few new ones as of the time of filming as well, so we'll be reviewing those for you on the channel over the next wee while as well. But yeah, check out their beers. As I say, they've done quite a wide variety over the last few years, and I'm sure we'll see more coming from these guys over the next little while. But yeah, as I say, that is everything I can tell you about Hong Kong Beer Company. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Untappd page as well to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on then and have a wee look at this beer itself. So, as I said to you earlier, this one is a 5.2% Munich Helles. So yeah, you can see it's named Reclining Rock. Many of the Hong Kong Beer Company beers are named after sort of local geographical points and places and stuff like this. But yeah, a little 330 milliliter can, 5.2% ABV, this one like we said. Now, the Helles Lager is quite an interesting one. When it comes to a lager beer, of course, the technical definition of a lager is a beer that undergoes fermentation at lower temperatures and so uses bottom fermenting yeast. Those two things of course go hand in hand, whereas an ale will ferment using top fermenting yeast at maybe like 15 to 18 degrees Celsius, something like that. When it comes to the Helles Lager, the Helles Lager is of course more of a kind of blonde lager. You get the Dortmunder Helles, which is a little bit more hoppy than the Munich Helles. And of course in the Czech Republic as well, you have the Svetli, which is basically the Czech's equivalent of the blonde lager beer. But yeah, as I say, first time I've seen this particular beer from Hong Kong Beer Company. I think we can have a wee look at this and see. It just says on the side here, sit back and enjoy this traditional German pale lager with its smooth malty character, floral hops and crisp dry finish. So yeah, let's just get it out and see what it has in store for us. Like I say, this is a style that I think HK Beer Company has the potential to do very, very well with. So we'll see if they live up to my expectations on that, but knowing these guys, I'm sure they will. So let's do it. As I say, if you do get the chance, if you go and visit the little hole in the wall, start off with a peek. It's always a good place to start with this brewery. And I'll tell you, I just got a wee whiff of that when I opened up the can there. It smells pretty damn authentic. But anyway, before the head disappears on this one, because I think that is going to disappear quite quickly, you can see that the beer poured with about a half finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head there. You've got a lovely you've got some lovely medium-sized bubbles on the surface of the liquid there, and a few foamier ones just going up toward the surface liquid there. But yeah, that head has disappeared very, very quickly, and you can see it's got a lovely kind of pale golden straw colour to it, this beer. I really like how that kind of pieces together in this one, and it looks, as I say, pretty damn authentic. And what I look for in these beers, of course, are these traditional German and Czech styles and stuff. I want these to taste as they would if I was drinking them in Germany or the Czech Republic, of course. But yeah, with this one, lovely pale golden straw colour. As I said, it's quite clear actually. It looks a little bit hazy to you guys because of the condensation on the glass. But yeah, remember the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. And yeah, you don't often have to care about those particular things when it comes to the Helles, to the lagers, to be honest with you. You're not really going to barrel age these or put too many adjuncts and things like that in them. But yeah, lovely clear appearance to this one, like I said, and there is a fair little bit of carbonation visible. I'm not sure how well you guys are going to see that there, but yeah, you can see a few bubbles just floating around in this one. But yeah, quite a lot of condensation on the side of the glass there. But in terms of what you would expect appearance wise from a Munich Helles, this one is pretty much right on the money. So yeah, let's go on then and have a little look at the aroma of this beer then. I'm very, very curious about that, so let's do it. Oh, just going to say straight away, it's bang on. And you know, Philip, I don't know if you'd agree with me, but I would always say that Philip, he's a little bit of a perfectionist with his beers. He's always kind of tweaking the recipes and just trying to get the best out of them. So a style like this, you know, these lager beers, the German lagers, are quite difficult to master, if you like. But you know, I can, you know, just knowing him and how his pills is, you know, you can just tell he's going to do a good job of these. The other brewers in there as well at Hong Kong Beer Company are really talented too. But this one, as I say, it smells very, very authentic, I have to say that. So it gets a big thumbs up from me. It gives you everything you want. Yeah, you've got that typical, you can actually smell the Munich malt, that slightly sweet breadiness that it's got, but also the crispness in the back end. That's really, really apparent in this one. The lovely bright German Hallertau or Tettnang hops, whichever one they've used in here. Then you've just got that little touch of fruitiness to it. It smells like an awesome, awesome beer, this one. And as I say, a big, big thumbs up from me. So yeah, let's break the aroma of this beer down then and just see what we get. So yeah, for me, the backbone of this beer, it's got a lovely fresh white bready bread crust to it, and I absolutely love that. So yeah, lovely fresh white bready bread crust in there. On top of that, you get a little touch of woodiness. I always get a little bit of woodiness in beer, maybe just my nose, but yeah, there's a little touch of that woody character coming out of this one. Little bit of Jacob's cream cracker as well, a little bit of a more wholemeal brown bready character coming out of it, but mostly like a fluffy, fresh, but still quite crisp white bready character. But the white bready note that comes out of this one, it has that distinctive sweetness. So they obviously have used Munich malt in this one, because yeah, it has that little bit of an almost buttery kind of character to it as well. So yeah, the way that goes together, I think, in this one is really, really nice. So yeah, fluffy, fresh white bread, lovely little bit of buttery character to it as well, and a wee bit of a, there's a wee bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity character, and I don't know, maybe a very, very slight like honey. There's another wee bit of like sweetness to this, like maybe concentrated McVitie's digestive biscuit syrup or something like that. So yeah, it's quite a biscuity and sweet, malty character that you've got out of this one, but as I say, you've got that crisp, distinctive white bready note that you expect of Munich malt in there, so it's ticking all the authenticity boxes for me. But yeah, on the yeasty side of things at the back of the nose, it's, as I say, there's a lovely little bit of, yeah, there's a lovely wee bit of kind of, again, you get that sweet white bready note in there. Yeah, there's a sweet white bready character in there. There's maybe, actually, maybe there's a wee bit of brown bread, sweet white bready character as well. Then there's a wee bit of a more kind of buttery, like Vitti's Digestive biscuity note to it. So the yeasty character and the malty side of this one actually goes together very, very well, I have to say. So yeah, I do like that in this beer. The way that the malty and yeasty side of character kind of go together, I think, is very, very nice. So yeah, let's go on to the hoppy side of things then. So typically with the German noble hops, you get a lovely little bit of like smooth earthiness out of them. So yeah, really, really like that out of it. So you can smell that little bit of smooth earthiness, and there's a wee touch of herbal and woody sort of nature to it as well. Nice bit of floral aromaticity, some grassy, yeah, some lovely grassy characters coming out of it as well. And yeah, so as I say, a little bit earthy, a little bit woody, a little bit herbal, some nice floral aromaticity, and also some lovely kind of grassy notes out of it. So yeah, the way that that goes together in this one is really nice, but it's very typical, smooth, bright green component as you'd expect from the German noble hops as well. So yeah, I like that with this one. The way it goes together, I think, is really, really nice. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. Yeah, I think we can leave it at that with this, with the green component then. The fruity side of the beer is kind of what you'd expect, to be honest with you. There's a little bit of like an apricot-y note to it, a little bit of oily pear. Yes, a wee bit of drier apricot, a little bit of oily pear, and what else could we say? Maybe, you know, maybe some sultanas as well. Yeah, dry white green grapey notes in there, like sultanas, as I say. Apricot. I think that's about it, to be honest. Yeah. Pears. Yeah, I think that kind of covers everything we need to say about the fruity side of the aroma here. As I say, these Munich Helles lagers, for me, it's a very underrated style of beer. They're really nice to just sit and drink, and they're very, very refreshing. They're not that popular out here in Asia. I think in Asia, when it comes to craft beer, people are more looking for the IPAs and stuff like that. So there's not too many breweries producing things like this, to be honest with you. But yeah, this one I think will be pretty damn good. So as I always say, take a little bit of time to just enjoy the aroma of your beer before you get stuck into it. But I think it is about time that we have a taste of this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the Reclining Rock, a 5.2% Munich style Helles from Hong Kong Beer Company in Kwun, Tong, Kowloon here in Hong Kong. Let's get stuck into this one. Slange, score, cheers. Yeah, I'm going to say straight away, as I expected, authenticity boxes are pretty much all ticked. Yeah, it's got a lovely kind of slickness to it as well. Like the Hong Kong Beer Company beers always just have this little slight oily slickness to them. I don't know if it's the water or what it is with these beers. But yeah, I always find that the HK Beer Company beers are always just that little bit slick, and you get everything you want from this beer and just that little bit of signature HK Beer Company slickness out of it. So yeah, I think my only complaint with this one is probably going to be that it's a 330 can rather than a 500. But from what I understand, the issues with that the breweries have in Hong Kong with that is that, you know, it's shelving space in supermarkets and things like that. So yeah, that's the reason that I believe they don't use the half-litre cans too much. But yeah, this one is really, really damn nice. And as I say, Very authentic for me, which is what I want. Little, you know, it does give you a fair little bit of sweetness in the back end as well, which is interesting. So yeah, let's break this beer down then and describe it a wee bit more in depth for you. So yeah, middle third of your palate then. The backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely, very fresh, white bready bread crust in this one. So the way that goes together, I think it's a little bit dry for the back. As I've always said, like, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. So yeah, there's a little bit of, as I say, drier white bready bread crust further back, and it's a wee bit kind of smoother further forward. But yeah, as you come further forward on that middle third of your palate, you've got that little touch of woodiness in there. Then there's a smattering of like Jacob's cream cracker sitting on top of that. And then you've got a layer of like wholemeal, you've got a layer of like the sweet wholemeal brown bread sitting on top of that. Then yeah, a fluffier, fresh, white bready note coming out of this one as well. And the white bread, as is typical with Munich malt, it's just got that little touch of sweetness to it, which I think is really, really nice. I need to have more of these when I next visit the hole in the wall at the brewery. I just bought one of these because they only had a couple left actually, and I was curious what it was. But yeah, the malty backbone of this is really very, very well done. I would be curious to know whether there's a touch of Pilsner malt in this, because it does, the crispness on this one. If you go on top of that fluffier white bready note, the next layer up, just further back, it just has a real very, very crisp dryness to it, and you usually only get that with Pilsner malt actually. So I do think there might be a little touch of Pilsner malt in this one just to accentuate that a little bit. But yeah, fluffy white bready bread crust there. Then above that you start to get the sweeter side of the beer. So you've got that kind of circle in the middle of your palate, which is quite nice. So yeah, you've got a circle in the middle of your palate, and then underneath, like the bottom layer of the circle, and it kind of moves in, if you like, from the edges. So the bottom edge for me, so it's got a little bit of toasty brown sugary character to it. The next layer up is a more kind of crisp, the next layer up is a more kind of crisp McVitie's digestive biscuity kind of character, and then yeah, the next part kind of coming in from that is the more oily, concentrated biscuit. You know, it does have a wee bit of like an almost honey type character to it, I would say. And yeah, that's the sweeter part of it. I would say this Helles is a little bit sweeter than some of the other ones I've come across. And again, that makes me wonder if there's a wee bit more kind of Pilsner malt in this one, in honesty. But yeah, I like the way the sweetness goes together in this one. And it does give you that kind of crispness into the aftertaste as well. But I think we've covered the middle third of the palate of the beer with what we've just said there. So let's go to the back third of your palate then. So the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of kind of bready build up in there. The brown bread in the base, the fluffier white bread in the middle, then the more crisp, the more crisp Pilsner malty type characters on top of that. And then the base of the back third of your palate, yeah, you get that white bready bread crust in there. As I've often said, the back third of your palate will give you very similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just different intensities. But yeah, you've got the white bready bread crust there on the back third of your palate. On top of that, you can feel the brown bready layer, which was a little bit lighter, taller, airy and more dry. You can say the same about the fluffier white bready character that just sits above that too. And then yeah, you can get the Pilsner malty. You get the Pilsner malty characteristics kind of sitting on top of that too, but it's not madly dry. The back third of the palate makes me question a wee bit whether what I said about there being a bit of Pilsner malt in this one is being right. So that's kind of what I'm wondering in this beer. But on top of that, you've got the yeasty side of the beer. So let's have a wee look at that. So yeah, the yeasty side of this beer, for me, it's got a, at its core, again, it's kind of what I expected from the aroma. It's got like a bit more of a sweet brown bread at its core, then a fluffier white bread around that, then a bit of a more Pilsner malty type edge there, and into the aftertaste, it's that gives the beer a little bit of its sweetness, and a wee bit of its kind of crispness and dryness as well. So yeah, as I say, the way that all of that goes together, I think, is really quite nice. But definitely, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, the way it goes together, I think, is really, really nice in this one. So that gets a thumbs up from me. Yeah. On the hoppy side of things, then let's go to the green component. In the back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. Then as you move further forward in this one, there's a little bit of a sort of woody character coming out of this one. So a little bit earthy, a little bit woody. Then as you move further forward beyond that, it's got a little bit of floral aromaticity. It has got a wee bit of spice to it as well. That makes me wonder if they've maybe used a little bit of pearl or something like that. I don't think Hercules, but maybe one of the slightly higher alpha acid German noble hops rather than just the Hallertau or Tettnang Mittelfrüh. Something like that in there. It could also be that the beer is just quite fresh, don't know. But round the front curve of your palate, you've got that lighter, smoother, kind of grassier note coming out of the beer. And it's just got a little touch of oiliness to it as well, which I think is very, very nice. So yeah, I like that with this one. Let's focus on the front third of your palate then and the fruity side of the beer. So that front third of your palate, the border region between front and middle third of your palate, again, you get that nice little bit of bready build up in there. There's the kind of brown bread in the base, the fluffier white bread in the middle, then the more Pilsner malty type character on top. Then yeah, the base of that, the base of that front third of your palate is like, yeah, fluffy, fresh. Yeah, it's like fluffy, fresh, white bready bread crust. Say the Jacob's cream cracker, the brown bread, the white bread, and then yeah, the white bread's actually quite smooth on the front third of your palate. Then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy, fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So let's have a wee look at that fruity side of things then. So yeah, at the back of that front third of your palate, there's maybe a bit of a kind of sultana type flavour. So yeah, a little bit of that kind of dry, white, green, grapey sort of thing. As you move further forward from that, it's got a little bit of a kind of apricot-y type note. And then yeah, into the front half of that front third of your palate, it's got a little bit more of a, it's got a little bit more of a kind of oily, peary sort of note to it. There's a wee bit of like a kind of fresh green apple kind of thing as well. So yeah, the way that it goes together, I think, is quite interesting that way. I do get a fair little bit of citrus out of this beer into the aftertaste, but the more oily pear and sultana and apricot and stuff like that are sitting there as well into the aftertaste. So yeah, in honesty, this beer really gives you everything that you would want from the Munich Helles style, if you like. As I say, the only real criticism I can have of this one is that it's not a half-litre can, because you know, with a little 330 you can tan that very, very easily. And you know, obviously for me doing a review, I'm having to sip it and get the flavours, but I will say you could easily, this beer could be gone in about 5 minutes, if that, to be quite honest with you, because it is just really nice and very drinkable. So I think on this note we need to move on and just talk about the mouthfeel of the beer. So yeah, for me, the mouthfeel of this beer, I would say it's kind of, yeah, I would say that it's quite, yeah, it's definitely got, it's kind of mid-range light bodied. Carbonation is quite smooth. As I said earlier, it's quite clean, but it's got a lovely little bit of kind of oiliness and slickness to it as well, which I do quite like. In terms of its IBU count, I think it's a fairly standard 20-ish IBUs, and then the malt base in this one, as I say, it's a bit drier underneath, kind of smoother in the middle, and it's got a bit of a sweetness on top there. You get a wee bit of crispness out of it into the aftertaste, and then yeah, you've got that lovely little bit of oily, fruity character coming out of this beer too. So yeah, the way that everything kind of pieces together and this one I think is really quite nice, to be honest with you. I think it's a very, very nicely done Helles. It has everything you want from the style. A little bit more floral spice, but again, that might be due to the freshness. And it's slightly sweeter than some of the other ones that I've had, but it has that kind of signature kind of slickness, clean slickness if you like, that I would associate with HK Beer Company. So yeah, all in all, they've done a really good job of this one again, so I think we can leave it there. So yeah, this one was the Reclining Rock, a Munich Helles at 5.2% ABV from the wonderful HK Beer Company, Hong Kong Beer Company in Kwun, Tong in Kowloon here in Hong Kong. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are as well from Hong Kong Beer Company, and we do have another couple of cans to review from these guys over the next little while too, so keep your eyes peeled for those videos. Until the next time, Slàinte, skål, cheers, check out my social media, check out their social media, and I'll see you guys in another review very, very soon. Ciao just now.